Welcome to Real Flix Reviews. We're like a book club for people who hate reading. This week we're doing the movie Oblivion, made in 2013, starring Tom Cruise. This week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens.
Hello.
And the man on the lower left-hand corner is Ryan Preston. This week, as I said in the opening, is Oblivion, made in 2013, with everybody's favorite dysfunctional actor, Tom Cruise. And here is the description of Oblivion. It's a veteran assigned to extract Earth's remaining resources begins to question what he knows about his mission and himself.
Okay, hold on. I want to start this one off because I kind of already mentioned some of the things that early with John. I couldn't keep my mouth shut.
He was biting his tongue the whole way through the movie. He's like, I gotta wait till the show. It's
one of the problems with having John next to me. It's, I'm sitting there and I'm like, really? They just screwed that up? And I'm trying not to say anything to John. Anyway, first things first. This movie, what the hell was up with the love triangle? Seriously.
I don't know. That was.
Ryan, can you help me out there? Is it just Hollywood crap?
Well, as far as like why the redhead chick or the ginger.
I understand why she was there, but really, seriously, this whole love triangle. They drag that part out ridiculously.
Are you talking about the fact that it seemed to be the main part of the story more than anything? Because it seemed to be, you had a little bit of action, a little bit of science fiction, then, oh my God, I love you, girl two. Oh my God, I love you.
No. It's more like, hey, I'm your wife, jackass. Let's screw this whole thing up.
Right.
It seemed to be that was the central plot motivator.
Yeah, it really was. It was like, really, anyway, as far as I'm concerned, this whole thing was...
Don't slam.
Matrix meets ID4.
Yeah,
really was to me. That's kind of pretty much what they did, and they just kind of changed it a little bit around. Because the ID4, hold on, the ID4 thing was that the aliens were coming to basically harvest the Earth. Their planet was done. Same motivator as far as the aliens go. And then all the clones of him, all wiping his memory, putting him back in, putting him back. Well, we always spoil the movies. We don't care.
I know. I got some people bitching.
We should really retitle this entire show "Fucking Spoilers."
Yeah. Anyway, but then they keep doing that, and they keep wiping his brain and putting him out. That's pretty much the same thing as the Matrix. Now, my biggest problem with this is that she goes into the sleeper pod after the thing crashes to get what? The black box, people. The black box that was recording everything as they went into the alien ship. You mean the black box that was in the alien ship?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm assuming maybe there's more than one black box. It's the only thing you could think of is they had two that were, one in front, one in back, type of thing. But
even still, though, he was listening to it, and they had already ejected the sleeper pod.
Mm-hmm.
And it was recording past there as he was listening to it flying in.
No, I know. It was...
So, that was a little sketchy to me. The other thing that was kind of bothering me was, all of a sudden at the end of the movie, what are you going to tell that little girl? This is not your daddy, but he's your biological guy. And don't worry about the 50 other ones out there.
Right?
She's like, who is that? You can see her kind of be like, that's your... We'll talk about this later.
Yeah. It's like, this is going to get weird. This is going to get weird.
What do you mean going to?
And the other thing is, what happened to the 50 other ones? Because, he was number 52. 49 was dead. So that leaves at least 50 other ones that are out walking around.
I kind of assumed, as they said, that they were kind of the few last ones. I'm assuming there weren't a whole lot left, but in that area. But considering it was the tri-state area, but no, that's a good question.
Yeah, and where were these other?
They kept them all fenced in with the radiation thing. There could be just sections all over the place.
Yeah. So anyway, but as far as that's just the things in the story that were bugging me.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the acting goes, Tom Cruise didn't do too bad. I've seen him do better.
I mean, he's actually he's a decent actor when you give a movie that I think plays to his strengths.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that he didn't do too bad.
Oh no!
I mean, I've seen him do better. I'm not saying he did a horrible job. I'm saying there were a couple things that I'm like, Top Gun kind of wants their sex scene back.
So question.
And their soundtrack.
Their motorcycle scenes and yeah.
So question, between the Tom Cruise scale of excellence being Days of Thunder in one end and The Last Samurai in the other, where would you place it?
3 up from Days of Thunder.
Yeah, that's pretty close, actually.
I mean, what?
I like that.
I like the Spectrum choice, though.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I could find one worse than that. But anyway,
I guarantee the problem is, would anybody actually see the more esoteric?
I was thinking more of Vanilla Sky, but I mean, if you put it,
well, no, I mean, if we're gonna have to pick Cocktail, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, might be the one that doesn't hold up at all anymore.
But
even I don't want to see that one. I'm sorry.
But the thing that really
I
bugged
liked that movie, but it holds up the least out of anything he's ever done.
Yeah, but the most acting annoyance to me was his wife. She did a horrible job. I really got to say.
Who was she? Have any of you guys seen her before?
I've seen her before, but nothing of note. As far as I recognize her, but I just don't think she's done anything worth mentioning.
Because visually,
pretty much where I'm at.
Visually on this movie, I thought that it had potential to be visually like the next Blade Runner, because it had some really unique styling cues, like the swimming pool with the light around it that was clear. There were some scenes that make you go, "This is amazing." I was thinking, okay, maybe this was this generation's Blade Runner, and then they throw in the random triangle that just completely fucks up the movie.
Well, my thing is, now, am I the only one that thought this, being that I'm speaking with other gamers, but there were scenes in there that I'm like, this sounds like some of the music that was playing through the Citadel and Gears of, not Gears of War, I can't think. Brian, help me. John?
You mean Mass Effect?
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect.
And then also the rifle he had.
I wasn't thinking Mass Effect, but I did think. I really liked the score. I thought it was pretty epic.
I think there was a couple drum beats that were pretty bad.
It sounded like somebody ripped off Europe from the 80s. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it was some of the soundtrack choices were weird. Plus the fact that little excite bike thing that kept happening, with my motorcycle.
Well, I mean, I was happy to hear Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some really good things like that. But
you saw his record collection, fucking Duran. I mean, he was cycling through a couple of crappy things.
Which, by the way, that was his one. That was one of James' comments I actually heard. He's like, Duran.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, if you're gonna,
it's 2074. You have the entire history of music, and you fucking pick the 80s.
Yeah, but
exactly.
But unfortunately, some of it is just he scavenged. So I mean, it's not like you really have select picks.
Right. Okay, I'll give you that. But
I mean, I didn't see a dimple sitting around.
Well, that actually brings
did
my
pick Zeppelin. So
yeah.
This also brought up my other question. So he had that little thing he made, right?
Yeah.
So where did he get the solar panels from? There were questions like, how exactly, Earth's completely untouched except this thing that kind of looks like Yosemite National Valley. I mean, so how exactly?
Well, I mean, part of it was that, my issue is that he's walking on New York, and I mean, the only thing sticking out was just the Empire State Building.
Well, yeah, which isn't the tallest building in New York, by the way.
And, I mean, yeah, where did he get some of that stuff? Did he just keep going down the floors?
Well, he was in that one when it first occurred to me that he's probably it's probably a dust layer that built up around the entire city, because when he was looking around being lowered down into that hole, that was another top of a building.
Yeah.
And then went down so far, and that's when I figured, that's a skyscraper that's just buried.
Well, that I think when the first time the scavengers trapped him, I think that was the New York Public Library.
I think it was too.
Because
it looks exactly what it was, but it was so deep that I'm like, that's a skyscraper.
Because my first thing was like, hey, I see that scene in Ghostbusters. I mean, it was literally what I was thinking. It's like, so when is Peter Venkman gonna go out and don't cross the streams,
Right. Yeah.
The other thing, excuse me, is that if they nuked the Earth like they said,
mm-hmm.
Those radiation zones would still be active. After they said, what, only 60 years had passed? 50, 60 years?
Well,
yeah,
maybe not.
But they might have. I'm thinking what that was they might have exaggerated, like the people that were controlling him might have exaggerated the radiation zones.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
true.
And they also,
but I was also going to say the shit, I completely.
well,
forgot
they,
my train of thought.
well, I'll
That's a
take,
surprise.
because my other thing was the fact that maybe because they said there were a whole herd of what's his name, whatever Tom Cruise's characters.
Skags.
So I'm assuming what happened is, maybe all those craters aren't from nukes, but from the Tet itself launching an offensive. Maybe there weren't any nuclear bombs that went off.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing, but
And there were also, that was what I was going to say. The reason that there was Yosemite National Forest right there in the middle of what appeared to be Manhattan.
Yeah.
They said that like we got attacked or whatever, and we dropped the bombs, and we won the war essentially. But so that might have just been a part that just like we dropped X amount of bombs, but obviously it wasn't a target, so it's just the place that was just this pocket of no radiation killing everything or something.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking the same thing, but he even says, he when he was questioning, as you say out of the description, he's questioning the fact that if we won the war, why do we have to leave?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that could be the thing of where they're saying that they didn't have time to launch a nuclear offensive.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm just trying to help the story.
My only question is, if it really was from Titan, as it were, why did he never hear from anybody else? You never saw any pictures of anything outside of Earth or what he was used to. You think that they would have had been something that would have said, "Oh, this is the new place in Titan. This is."
But they wiped his
here's a
memory.
picture of your new apartment when you come on back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the faulty towers in downtown Titan.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The faulty towers.
Well, I was going to let that go. But I was going to mention the thing of Jamie Lannister. I was happy to see him.
Which one is
Yeah,
that?
I liked his little character in that.
He was the one that was shooting the sniper. He was a
Okay.
really good shot.
That's what I thought.
I
He's the
don't
guy
know
that kept pointing the gun at Tom Cruise.
Yes.
Yes.
In the back of my mind, it's like, pull the trigger, pull the trigger.
I was I kind of thought it was interesting that there's a scene where he's shooting the side of the thing. And I'm like, well, you already know that if you hit that little tiny target in the back, it does that spinning thing. And then he actually hits it, and it explodes instead of turning around and blasting everybody that was standing around it.
The only thing I could assume
It just kind of went down.
The only thing I could assume is that maybe it's just depending on how it's attacking. Because when it spun around, it was actually shooting. So I'm assuming maybe something the way it works. But no, that was kind of odd too. That it seemed to do something different every time somebody shot it.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't understand why that worked that way.
Yeah, I didn't either. The other thing was, I was kind of a little bit confused as to Morpheus' character. I mean, sorry, Morgan Freeman. Sorry, Lawrence Fishburne.
So who was Neo? My question: who was Neo in Trinity?
Well, obviously the wife was Trinity, because she pulls up and starts blasting the thing like, I'm big and tough. And then, as far as I'm concerned, Jamie Lannister was Neo. I mean, sorry, Tom Cruise, you're just not good enough.
So Tom Cruise was Neo version 1, according to the Matrix.
No, he was the little mouse guy. What was his name? I can't remember his name.
So Tom Cruise was the rabbit he was following.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, but no, there was that battle scene where they were all coming in, and I'm like, I think I saw this one when the machines were coming down through the when they drilled down. I mean, was it just me, or was that just reflections of that scene?
No, I agree. I think this whole movie was kind of like the book Aragorn. It's a hodgepodge of different movies. I mean, you could literally sit there, okay, this is from this movie, this is from that movie. I swear they ripped this off from some movie back in, so I agree. I think it's a hodgepodge of odd movies.
But also, I think it's a lot of just sort of your quintessential little moments in a lot of these things. A lot of the Jamie Lannister character. I keep calling him that. But his character, we saved him, but I don't trust him, and then he storms out. I mean, it's just we've seen that so many times in those. It's your average quintessential characters in these things. Everybody seems to be playing a part that had been played a million times.
But you've made this point before. I'm sure you made it in this show, and you've made it to me before. Is that they have a very limited selection of what they can do with the story. It's either man versus the elements, man versus man,
Right.
man versus himself, or
And Mad versus Food.
yeah, that's a good show. I want that show. Anyway, but that's where they're stuck. Is they've got only a limited selection of stories that they can tell.
Yeah, but
and you're going to have mix and matches of different movies.
Type of movie, you seem to have a lot of the same kind of archetype characters. You know what I mean? The same kind of shit you've always seen in Lethal Weapon and in Die Hard and and stuff like that.
Would that be because this isn't really true sci-fi? I mean, this is Hollywood's craptastic version of a movie people want to see, and it's not really sci-fi because we had the same plot problem with Prometheus. It was sci-fi enough to be a big hit, but not sci-fi enough to actually get geeks into it.
Well, the problem with
Prometheus... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the problem that we had with Prometheus is that they didn't continue with the actual canon of the story. They threw in a whole nother canon and try to force it into the canon of Aliens.
Yeah, but
they tried to take a square peg and shove it into the round alien hole.
I mean, the only way Prometheus could have gotten better if they hired Dolph Lundgren. I mean, that movie was horrible.
No, it would have gone up a couple notches, actually. But I don't know. And what were you saying about this one, Ryan?
Okay. Well, I have a couple of things that I wanted to get into. I was really on board with this movie. You know what I'm saying? Going into it, like I remember trying to talk you into the Tom Cruise is actually a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
And I still maintain that because he did a good job in this. I liked a lot of the acting, the performances.
Wait, his or the wife?
In this, I like some of the performances in this.
I actually agree. He did an okay job.
No, I liked his supporting actress.
I liked,
she did a good job.
I liked the soundtrack, or not the soundtrack, the score was, I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, you would.
Really, really brought me into some of the moments. It was arguably one of the more gorgeous movies I've seen in a long time.
I will give you that.
I think it's along there with Oz.
That movie looked good. So much shit. I think we've gotten to a point where I trust CGI now. Because it really, really looked fantastic. I mean, the details and stuff like that.
The question is, how much CG was actually used in this movie? I know parts of it were like you had the gunships and stuff, but even when he's just walking through the wasteland with, I mean, you can tell he's in like a dried out ocean because there's just a bunch of naval ships and stuff around, cargo ships. So the question,
and what was that wannabe BMX jump?
And so the question is it because the CGI looks good because there's less stuff? It's a more simple. Because
I think they figured out a way to dial it back and then also make props and costumes and everything to sort of fit the style of CGI. Like I think they just married the two pretty well in this.
Because I agree with you. Because the CGI actually, because normally it sticks out like a sore thumb, but this is the first one in a while that actually was like, they did a good job. Like, so where did they film this? Because I completely agree with you on that one.
Yeah. But as far as just this movie was 2 hours. It felt like 3.
Especially with all the love triangle scenes.
That's what I'm saying. After, I'd say it took 45 minutes to get going. Now I was into the first act of the movie. I liked him.
I did too.
I liked figuring out sort of what his procedures were, and like, okay, here's this woman that's up in this thing, and okay, the Titan. I remember that from Gattaca. They wanted to go to Titan. Anyway.
And he was the James Doohan of repair guys too. Scotty.
That reference or something?
Apparently, Scotty in Star Trek, or the MacGyver, he was the guy that could fix anything with a piece of bubblegum type of deal.
But yeah, absolutely, out there MacGyver in the thing with the gun. We don't have.
I didn't like that football scene. Here, let me reminisce about football.
Yeah, those kinds of moments. So I liked that. But then they started to kind of like build onto the plot, and you started to learn a little more things. And they started to tip things, like foreshadow things for for plot points, but then they would foreshadow it, and then it would pay off like a half an hour later. So it's like I'm seeing the moments coming, but so far in advance that I'm just like, when's that moment coming? Come on, like let's get to this.
I really want to know what's up with the tempo of this movie. This movie had the world's strangest pacing.
The pacing was so off in this. It had its great moments where it's like, oh shit, here we go, now we're getting into it.
And then it slowed down.
It's like, yeah, maybe I should kick back and settle into this one a little more than I thought I was going to have to.
The weird thing is, I agree because you had like this really, really fast and then stop, love triangle.
Right, love triangle. And it's like, I don't care as much about this as opposed to like what's going on with like, why did they send you to this place? Who exactly are you? And then they tipped it as far as like, you know, when the, I can't remember the exact moment anyway, but,
because this movie practically gave you viewer whiplash. My neck hurt at the pacing of this.
It really does. And I have no problem with watching a slow burn of a movie. You know what I mean? Like No Country for Old Men, that movie was slow all the way through, but it was fucking incredible. But this one, it's this stop and go thing, like you just said. I mean, it just, you really have no idea what kind of movie you're sitting there trying to watch. And then it's taken a long time to pay off on things that they're sort of like, oh, okay, here's this little bit of information, and then you're like, oh, I wonder if that means this and this and this, and then it does, but you're not gonna, get to that part until way later on. And
so I have a question for you too. Now, was this an action movie or a love story? Because I was trying to think of it. What was it? Because this obviously really wasn't. It didn't seem like the end game of this movie was not what they were trying to do. It's not a science fiction movie.
It's a lotion.
It was, James, like James said, it's a love triangle. But they really start focusing on that as the major motivator, as opposed to like, dude, here's this. You have these group of people over here that are essentially humans, like you've been lied to, and all this stuff, like. That to me is a lot more important than your bullshit, marriage and your other marriage.
So this was the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. That was the MacGuffin to move the story along.
Right, exactly. But they had it backwards as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree.
I completely agree.
That's why I said it's a lotion, love triangle, then action.
I agree,
because that's pretty much what it's all about. I mean,
so yeah. So, what do you give it, James? What's your on our scale?
Surprisingly, I can't give this one a 2. So it's a 3. I mean, it's mediocre at best, but it's not bad enough to, earn a 2. So but it doesn't really earn a 3 either. So it's but I got to give it a 3.
So there's enough redeeming quality not to give it a 2, but. Basically,
yeah. See, there's not enough reasons to give it a 2, so by default, it's a 3.
So if we gave half points on our scale of 1 through 5, this would be a point something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So this would be like a 2.6, not enough to be low enough.
So what about you,
rounding
Ryan?
up?
I couldn't agree with James on this one more. That's exactly my feeling on it. I can't justify giving it a 2. By default, it's a 3.
Yeah.
I agree.
Is well put.
I'm sorry. What was that?
I said mediocre at best was well put.
Yeah.
I agree. I really wanted to see this because I love sci-fi, and I really wanted to give this a 5 and then a 4. Then I really wanted to give it a 3. I'll be honest. If I could justifiably give this a 0, I would.
Okay.
But I have to give it a 3. It's at its best mediocre. At its worst, it's talking down to the audience.
Yeah.
I'm sick and tired of piss poor science fiction. If this movie is considered science fiction, Lord of the Rings is considered a space odyssey.
John, would you agree that this movie has sort of a hardcore sci-fi center to it?
It does.
They chose not to focus on.
It does.
I agree.
I completely agree. I thought this could have been. That's why I brought Blade Runner. I'm not a fan of the movie Blade Runner, but everybody is. It's considered one of the best science fiction films ever made, and I was really hoping to see something because it had the visuals at the beginning, had the pacing, and then you throw in shit that just ruins this movie, like that damn love triangle. it had so much potential, and somebody just pulled the drain. And
that's why I didn't want to see this movie.
Amazing plot, and they just chose not to go that direction.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. I mean, this one, just off of what I had seen as far as the trailers go, because I don't really read up and try to spoil the movie. I just watch the trailers and kind of make my own decisions. Yeah. I thought that this movie could have potential, but I didn't want to waste my time on seeing it. So I was outvoted on this one. Yeah, and that's fine.
See, I wish I had that feeling. My movie senses wasn't tingling on how bad this movie was going to be.
Mine was tingling. Mine was giving me
convulsions.
Yeah. It's Tom Cruise.
But you know what? Each one of these poor experiences sort of starts to inform that instinct just a little bit more for the next time.
One of my sayings about movies is you got to walk through a lot of shit to find gold. You
right.
really
and
do.
You have to. I mean, it's cliche, but you have to take the good with the bad. You have to, know what a shitty movie is, so you know what a good movie is.
So
exactly.
So you have to see the Top Gun to get through, A Few Good Men.
Yeah.
Right.
You
have to see Jar Jar Binks in order to appreciate the shit out of, like Yoda.
I'd rather not see Jar Jar Binks. Matter of fact, I'm going to ask to pass the motion. Can we ban Jar Jar Binks from ever being mentioned?
Honestly, as far as Jar Jar Binks go, he didn't bother me as much until people started talking about him. Really. I mean, I always just overlooked that character. It was like
Jar Jar Binks is proof that the George Lucas is racist.
Yeah. Okay,
look, people gave Jar Jar Binks as much shit as they gave Ewoks back when Jedi came out. People were livid about the Ewoks. Who the hell are these furry fucking creatures? People were fucking furious. These midgets in these little teddy bear costumes.
Yeah.
What is going on here? I'm
sorry. I was never bothered by the Ewoks. I actually liked them.
So we're coming up towards the end of the show, and this is the portion where we discuss or give you some movie news that we found interesting throughout the week. So, James?
Okay, so if you are not out there and you have not heard about Dexter, you guys are idiots. Dexter is coming down to the end of it's completing up. This is their last season. It's been announced. I mean, the rumors were last season was going to be the last season, but this one is definitely the last season. Now, I discussed this with Ryan a little bit over the phone earlier this week, and I'm excited to see how they're going to wrap this up. I mean, it's basically a coin flip. He either gets away or he goes out in a blaze of glory. Now, I kind of want to see the blaze of glory type thing, but I want him to go out into the Caribbean and start killing out, people out in the Caribbean. That'd be kind of cool too.
Well, here.
But hold on, I'm not done yet. Now, the problem is that there are rumors of spin-offs. What do you guys think about that? I know John hasn't really watched the show.
I've watched some. Spin-offs always depend on the character. So some spin-offs work, some spin-offs do. I think what this is doing is leading up to a movie, because I could see him getting in some deep shit trouble, and then the movie's about him redeeming himself as he's killing everybody.
But I have got a question. Hold on, Ryan. Now, the only spin-off that I would be legitimately okay with seeing is hold on, let me finish.
I'm gonna write it down.
Okay, yeah. You can write this one down. Is that Dexter...
Wait.
Okay. The only spin-off that I am okay with seeing is that Dexter and Deborah get horribly, brutally murdered in front of Harrison.
The son.
Oh,
that would be... So
that is all I'm okay with.
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
So that is all that I am okay with.
Here's the question.
And then he becomes a Dexter.
Would his son become a Dexter or become a bad guy? Because if you did the spin-off, you could make his son a great bad guy.
You could.
Okay.
I mean, I'm okay with seeing this guy as, the Terry McGinnis.
No, I'm saying I'm saying he's becoming the Hannibal Lecter character. The guy everybody knows guilty, but they can't prove it.
Yeah, type thing. Like what James Stokes was doing with Dexter early on in the thing. But okay. I don't know, Ryan, what do you think?
Okay, they're not going to do that.
That would be so cool, though. Sorry.
It would be cool, but
Should
that's continuing the show. I mean, they're not going to do a movie because there's no point. What they did by announcing that this is the last season is give the writers an opportunity to write a season of an ending.
Yeah.
You know, so they're going to end it in this series.
Maybe.
It's if there's going to be, see, what I thought you were going to say was, this is what I wrote down. I don't know if you could read that. It's backwards. It says Batista. That's the only spinoff that I'd want to see.
You know, I agree with you. I thought about the Batista thing too, but even still, Batista's moving on to other things.
But other than that, you have to end the show here. They're not going to do a movie. They're not going to really.
Oh no, ladies and gentlemen, sorry. Apparently, we're having some minor technical difficulties here.
Oh.
This coming theme on Real Flix Reviews is going to be foreign films. So in that pick, I've chosen one of my all-time favorite kung fu movies. Is Jackie Chan's Snake and Eagle's Shadow. Nah, I decided to do Snake and Eagle's Shadows. It's one of my all-time favorite Jackie Chan movies. And we want to thank you for watching this week's Real Flix Reviews. I gave Oblivion a 3, James gave it a 3, and Ryan gave it a 3. It's another hat trick for Real Flix Reviews, and we'll see you next week, and hopefully we won't have any issues this week with connecting with Ryan. So thank you.
Goodbye.